Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be reviewing Scream 7 starring Neve Campbell, Courteney Cox, Matthew Lillard and McKenna Grace. When a new Ghostface killer emerges in the town where Sidney Prescott has built a new life, her darkest fears are realized as her daughter becomes the next target. So, I've been very concerned about this movie because I was a big fan of Scream 6. I'll do a Scream ranking and I'll explain my love for Scream 6. And I was excited to see where Sam and Tara's story were gonna go next. And but because of the behind the scenes and stuff with Melissa being fired and Jenna Ortega apparently having schedule conflicts with Wednesday, even though that Wednesday has been shooting now, which this was shot like last year or so. Scream 7, I mean. So yeah, and then I heard that Neve Campbell as Sidney Prescott was coming back. I was like, okay, because I was kind of disappointed that she wasn't part of the 6. I thought that was a big thing. Not that I need Sidney to be the main character, but at least she's kind of there because she knows what to do and how to solve the issue type of thing. It's like, especially not having that previous person that has been through all this, not in a movie, and you're like, well, where's that person? That's how I felt with Neve Campbell not being in Scream 6. But then when I heard that she was coming back, I was like, okay, that gets me a little bit more excited. But then they announced Matthew Lillard was signing on to the movie. I was like, okay, I'm getting a little bit more excited. It does feel a little bit like desperation, but at least I'm getting a bit of excitement out of this movie, which I wasn't before. And then basically, as soon as I heard all the not the controversies, but all the hate that this movie was getting, I was like, oh, okay, well, I knew I wanted to see this movie ASAP, because I'd been hearing bad things, and I was like, I need to see this movie now. I got chills in the opening scene. Like, I'm not going to give big spoilers, like, you see most of this stuff in the trailer, but the whole opening that's in the trailer where it's two characters exploring Stu Macher's house, and the references they throw are so great. Like, they reference Scream 1, they reference Scream 5, like, because both of those houses were big parts of those two movies, so they're throwing out references and stuff like that. And yeah, like, I loved that opening. I thought that opening was so good. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I think that the relationship between Sidney and Tatum was so real, and you can tell, like, why Sidney didn't want to tell Tatum the stuff that she dealt with in the past with Ghostface, because she didn't want to pass that trauma down to her daughter. So it was one of those things where you're like, okay, I understand that. That relationship, I felt something in that relationship. Alright, let's talk about Stu Macher, Matthew Lillard. The way they used Stu Macher in this movie was a very interesting concept. And something, not to spoil it, but it's something that we're dealing with now. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. I thought it was very, very cool. The only disappointing, because like, when you find out what's happening, you're like, oh, well, I guess they couldn't actually bring Matthew Lillard back within the franchise, like, as the actual character, because one, he's dead, but they're doing it as a mere commentary on the real world, which I thought was very interesting to tackle that in a movie like Scream. Because the only disappointment about that to me is that I actually thought that they were actually going to come up with a really good reason that Stu is actually alive. They don't do that. That was the only disappointing part about to me, but I actually got over that part because I thought it was actually a very interesting concept that they were doing with it. And once you see the actual, like, the evidence and that type of stuff within the movie, you're like, oh, that's actually a very cool thing. So the way they used you, I was like, okay, you sold me. They gave Gale a really cool entrance in this movie. Maybe the best entrance that she's ever gotten, to be honest. Not to spoil what it is, but it was a very good entrance. I actually really liked her entrance in this movie. Another thing about this movie is that because this movie is set in modern times, they can now record the Ghostface phone calls. I thought that was cool because Sidney actually records the voice call to send it to the police, because her husband actually is a policeman. So I was like, oh, that's actually very, very cool. Another thing about this movie was that there are things that we as fans have been waiting for to pay off since 1996. And when we see that, there's one big thing that Gale has been saying to Sidney in pretty much every single bloody movie. Especially from 1 to 4. What eventually happens in this movie, wait, what, you're actually going to do this? I mean, I was happy to see it happen, but the fact that it actually played out the way it played out, I was like, yeah, actually, you know what? Typical bloody Gale, she would have asked those type of things. So, how many movies do I need to see Joel McHale in? The fact that he's Sidney's husband, I was like, you're kidding, right? How many movies do I need to see you in? I see you in Blended, I see you in Spy Kids 4, I see you in Spider-Man 2, I see you in all these different bloody things. I don't need a bloody... I was like, get a different person to play Sidney's husband. I don't need to see John McHale 10,000 times in a movie. I do like seeing Chad and Mindy back in this franchise after what happened in Scream 6. I was just disappointed that both Melissa and Jenna didn't make it into this movie whatsoever, like a cameo or whatever. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about, because I've seen a couple complaints about this online, is the CGI blood. I honestly didn't notice it. I mean, sure, most of the blood would probably be CGI, because that's just movies nowadays. Most of that sort of stuff's gonna be CGI. But I wasn't thinking during the action scenes going like, oh, that's CGI blood. I was actually more invested in the characters and what was going on within the movie. I was more thinking of the stakes in the movie, not, oh, it's CGI blood. I'm going to give Scream 7 4 out of 5 stars. This movie is not as bad as people say it is. I think it's on level with with all the other Scream sequels. I think that, we'll talk about this with my ranking when I do my ranking, but I honestly think that both the original Scream and Scream 6 are on another pedestal, but all the others are all in the same range, where it's a very consistent franchise in terms of the sequels. And this movie is definitely the most consistent franchise, and I love, yeah, I didn't love it as much as 6 or 1, but the other movies to me have been really, really good and enjoyable. And I think that, all of them have been fun. That's why I give them all around an 8 out of 10. And you'll really see that if you see my TikToks. Because on TikTok I have been reviewing all the Scream movies leading up to 7. So I'm very excited to get into that. So,
hey there. Subscribe to my channel. And also press this bell icon.